everybody. Welcome to another edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. This is the show where we talk about sports with comedians. And since we do that, we got to bring the comedians in to be able to start talking some of the sports. First up is my man, Talent. T, what's going on, bro? How you doing, sir?
I can't call it, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing A-okay. How was your weekend?
Oh, good. You see what it is. It's just comedy all weekend long, right? Frank, I kept having a great day after day after day, just topping myself. It was one of those weekends.
Yeah, it's good to hear that, bro. Good to hear that. Fig is also in the building. Fig, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great.
How was your weekend?
It was lovely, man. I performed at this this hall in Long Island for a bishop's 12th anniversary, man. We had a good time.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Also in the building is my man Mike Sean. Mike, how you doing, sir? How was your weekend?
Excelente. Had a great weekend. Was just chilling at the Baltimore Harbor, chilling, walking around. Went to a Brazilian steakhouse. It's crazy. It was beautiful. I'm in a good mood.
Brazilian steakhouse.
Ooh. Yeah, nice place. Yeah, you gotta watch that Unlimited, boy. That'll run your credit card up.
Yeah. Also, is my man Dave, the business bully. How was your weekend, sir?
Man, beautiful. Out here snapping extra cash and checks. How's everybody?
All right. So I'm glad you guys had a great weekend. We're gonna get ready to jump into this thing and get this show started out. Before we even jump into the NBA, because obviously we got to talk about the NBA Finals. We got to talk about the Golden State Warriors tying the series. I'm gonna throw it to my man T. I'm gonna start in the order that Rodney Perry always makes fun of the order I start in. So let's start out with that real fast.
Frank, you should start with Talent.
Yeah. I think I would do that. I want to ask you, T, man. Friday we talked about Jack Del Rio. We were talking about him and his comments he made and everything else. He got fined on Friday afternoon after the show. He got fined $100,000. Also, yesterday he was getting so much slack and everything else against a lot of people on Twitter. He deactivated his Twitter account. He deactivated all the social media account. People, not only NAACP, a lot of people have been saying that this brother should be getting fired and he's been catching a lot of hell. Tell me from your perspective what you think his response acting to that. Do you think he regrets it, or what's your thoughts on any of this stuff, Minty?
For the first time, I agree with something Stephen A. said today, and he said, "Careful, wishing for the man's job or calling for his job, because in this country, white people catch a cold, black people get pneumonia." So in other words, he's saying, "Careful, because we get this one thing, but you know how many hundreds and hundreds of workers and black workers and companies get that retaliation firing happening to them." So I never agree with Stephen A. This right here, I said, you never lie when it comes to that. So be careful. I think that this is a man's opinion. And I think if it goes against the grain of whoever the boss is or whoever the facility is, you do like any other time. You reprimand them. You smack them on the hand, smack them on the wrist. You suspend, you fine. You do these things. I don't think you rush right to just a blatant all-out firing, because if that's the case, we check everybody's email. A lot of people are going to fall by the sword. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Fig, what's your take on this, man? Do you think he should have deactivated his Twitter account, or he should have just left everything as is?
No, man, I appreciate my enemies doing exactly what it is that they do out in the open. The worst enemy that you can have is the one that's under the covers, the one that's hiding. Like the Ku Klux Klan used to do back in the day. They used to do all kind of dirt, but they wore hoods. I appreciate somebody coming out and saying exactly what they mean and meaning exactly what it is they say. If you said it, you meant it. Stand behind it. Stand behind it 100%. Ain't no need. He said, listen, we need to have an open conversation about it. Yeah, okay. So let's do that, because that's the only way you're going to get it out in the open. But it ain't going to change nothing, because it's racist is a racist, is a racist, is racist, is a racist. Yeah. And they have privileges. Yeah. They have privileges that they're not trying to give up.
And show your face. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, let me see you.
Mike Sean, I'm gonna say this. He deactivated his Twitter account for a reason. What do you think that reason would be? If you're gonna say what you're gonna say, stand by it. Why do you think he deactivated his Twitter account?
I think he deactivated because what he called a dust-up now has a congressional hearing that's historical going on right now. Mm-hmm. And it just makes him look dumber and dumber, and makes the comments look more ridiculous every day that we're watching it being the coverage 24 hours as the hearings are going on. He should deactivate his home phone. He should deactivate his Netflix. He should deactivate everything. He should deactivate his Hulu and his text messaging. And no, I'm not going to call for his job because I already know what that is. Because now you're like Stephen A. said, and I never agree with Stephen A. But I said this last week when we talked about it. When you fire somebody based on their opinion, the next athlete is the one that's going to catch hell for their opinion because we're like, hey, we fired Jack Del Rio, so we got to fire you and we got to fire you. Dude, why are we acting so shocked that this man said what he said?
Yeah.
Why how many people voted for Donald Trump? Do we think they're not in the NFL? Do you think they're not in the NFL that voted historic numbers came out to vote for the man? Just take it with a grain of salt and now deal with these black men that you have to now be a coach for. Because the repercussions are really going to happen in that locker room.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
Great point, Mike Sean, because 73 million people voted for Donald Trump. And some of them got to be on the NFL team. 73 million. Yeah, got to be. Dave,
yes, sir.
Here's the point. Washington Commanders now are dealing with the repercussions of that. Do you honestly think as a franchise, as an NFL team, that they're going to take a bigger hit than we could possibly think of, that we could foresee in this? What
Absolutely not, Frank. I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock everybody on this panel, but I ask that you hear me out before you react. I 100% agree with Jack Del Rio. 100%, and here's why. The reason he considers it a dust-up is because he suffers from systematic white privilege. The reason he considers it a dust-up is because I, son of a federal agent, brother of cop, nephew of cops, could not go up in there with a paper clip and sit on the Speaker of the House desk, put my feet up and walk around here like I'm an extra in Highlander / The Walking Dead. It just wouldn't happen no place else. The reason he thinks it's a dust-up is because for him it is. And everybody goes back to normal. And I have to disagree with my very long-time friend, Michael Shorn. Nothing's going to happen in that locker room. And even if it does, them Negroes are going to get fired. And there's a whole bunch of Negroes who will be right there in line, just like our good friend Colin Kaepernick says. They's going to stand in line, and they's going to be there because they got to get their mama out the house, and they got to get their daddy a brand new beds. So please. This is going to go over, and yeah, they're going to have the dog and pony show hearings, but nothing's going to come of it. The Washington Commanders are going to be just fine, and this is going to blow over. Now, 100K, y'all might as well have fired him because now you set a dangerous precedent for anybody who is not on the other side of the plantation cracking that whip.
I'll just throw this out there before I think it's really bad that it literally happened at the Washington Commanders. You know what I mean? Like the Washington football team, which is Washington, D.C. Not the state of Washington, Washington, D.C. I throw it out there. Yeah. So, but
real quick, Frank, if there was ever a time for Roger Goodell to say we have to force this organization to sell the team, it's now.
It's never going to happen.
Checkpoint. I mean, it's happened before in pro sports where owners
not in NFL,
not in the NFL yet. Yeah, but under these conditions, after box after box after box, Roger Goodell's going to start looking at him and say, "There's no need to have you here. You're causing too many problems for our bottom line." And when the other owners join together and go like, "Oh, you're just causing too many problems. You're making too many waves and you're effing up the money," that's when maybe they'll say you got to trade the team.
Right. Honestly, I can't disagree.
I mean, sell the team. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything else. But whether or not Roger Goodell does that is going to be something we have to sit there and talk about. But now we got to move on to the NBA Finals. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people up here, and speaking of people, I want to thank all the people out there who are watching the show. I want to thank all our fans who've been continuously to be watch the show and share it and everything else. Thank you all for doing that. I appreciate y'all. So T, it's the NBA Finals. It's now time for the rapid fire questions. Before we jump into rapid fire about the NBA Finals, Golden State tying up the series and everything else, I'm going to ask each and every one of you the same question. Then I'm going to jump into the rapid fire. What was your thoughts on Golden State tying the series in Boston on Friday? What's your thoughts on that, T? You up first.
Well, I was ecstatic to say the least. My team won. The team I had the money on did what I wanted to do, come there and tie it up. So, now the bar is going to be very interesting tonight. This changes everything because now we're back to zip. As I say, when you tie it up, game is back to zip. The home court still, belongs to them now. They flipped it back, but I look for a resilient Boston team tonight to put. This may be the best game we're going to see of the series. And I always say this when you come off a 2-2, whoever wins Game 5, pretty much going to get the series.
80%.
Big. What is your take on what you saw after the game?
I saw a pissed off Steph Curry. In the first quarter, he was shooting and he was yelling at the Boston bench. He was yelling at him and like shaking his hand. He was like, "Yo, man, this is." He was like, "This is our game." And but Talon is right. The one who usually wins Game 5 is the one who usually wins the series, and I'm looking forward to possibly more tonight, more of the same.
Okay. Same question to you, Mike Sean. What was your take after you watched the game?
I think Steph Curry is absolutely amazing. Last week when we talked about it, I said, what did Golden State have to do? Offensive rebounding. What did Wiggins do? Get 13 or 14 rebounds. Mm-hmm. It's them little things, man, that change these games. And I don't know if you're going to talk about it later. So if you are, stop me. Just do me a favor, NBA. Next year, take away the review. Take it away. I don't want y'all to play a review of a foul and tell me what I saw is not what I saw.
Right.
And it's happening for both teams. Like, just take it away. You're exposing yourself. Like, you're showing things and you're making us look at it in slow motion. And we're going, that's not what happened. We just saw it. And the refs go, don't worry about it. Yeah. We know nobody touched each other, but we ain't going to overturn the call. Just take their video challenge away and let it be bang, bang plays like it was before so nobody can really complain.
And nobody can be upset. Yeah, that's what it is. Dave, what's your retake? What's your take?
To be honest with you, Frank, I saw the game, but I was also I thought I was watching the wrong network because I saw the Wizard of Oz. You remember that scene where Dorothy's dog pulls the thing in the curtain, and the wizard says, "Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain." Listen, I told y'all the refs are going to do exactly what they're going to do. Just like that con man was pretending to be a wizard, we got some con men on the court pretending to be referees. This game is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Maximizing sponsorships. That's all this is. And so it's going to go Game 7. It's going to go to Game 7 because they want that money. And I want to tell you right now, psychic prediction, Golden State wins because they don't want Boston to be the champs again.
Interesting.
Look, I bet Golden State in 7. I think the NBA did too.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. All right. Now, like I said, I always do is I'm gonna do a rapid fire because I've been doing it last week and everything and I think I get some interesting responses when I throw it out there, and everybody has a different topic to talk about. First up is my man T. Rapid fire question, everything else. Like I said before, if Golden State wins and everything else, people still expect some changes and everything else. But because of what's happening with Draymond Green and how Draymond is performing and everything else, he's been very disappointed and very disappointing in this series. How do you think Golden State is going to react, win or lose, after the NBA Finals with their team structure?
I'll say it again, man. I'll say it again. I don't think it's going to be no crazy changes. I think they're going to give this credit of this year to Clay and start putting him on notice, seeing what he got next year when it counts. I think Draymond is doing what Draymond does. Like, depending on what side of the gate is the only way you look at it. Like, he's horrible right now. He's not horrible. He's Draymond. Draymond, sometimes negating points equal you scoring points. That's why we always say, like, you don't have good D. If I drop 30 and you drop 30 and you guard me, we even. You didn't shut me down. Same thing with Draymond. Draymond's not going to give you those 20-point games. He's like Al Horford is for Celtics. He's going to do the little things, to the intangibles, to get turnovers, stuff like that. And more importantly, get into the head of the major scorers on the other team. So even if you look in the box score and you see 8 rebounds and 2 points, he did his damn job. That's Draymond. That's what he does. Ain't nobody going nowhere.
Okay. Fig, do you think Steve Kerr plays Draymond Green less tonight than what he played him in the other game because of his performance and how he's been performing, or do you think it's going to be the same?
I think it's probably going to be the same, and it probably will depend on the situation and what is actually needed. But he's going to have Draymond is going to be out there because Draymond does more than scoring. Yeah. I mean, occasionally he blocks shots, he gets rebounds, assists. I mean, Draymond does what he does. He scores 8 to 9 points a game, and the rest he just facilitates for others. And he's an adjunct to the other team also. Okay. So I expect Draymond to play unless he's having another horrible game, and then Steve Kerr will probably go with somebody else.
All right. Mike Sean, do you think Steve Kerr is going to make any drastic changes, not only to the lineup, but any drastic changes to what, because now we got a new series. It's tied up 2-2.
He made a drastic change the last game. He sat Draymond down in crucial situations, sat him down, and then brought him in on a defensive switch when he would call a timeout or when there was a free throw being shot. He's already seen that they can in crucial situations play 4-on-5 on offense. Once again, you can't have Marcus Smart scoring 18. Draymond, you can't score 2. Like, I get it. We're not asking you for 20. You're not a good one-on-one defender. We already know that. You're a great help defender. You're a fantastic help defender. So they were targeting him, and Steve Kerr, being a great coach, doesn't care about egos, and shout to Draymond because he didn't complain 1 second. Steve Kerr was like, I'm going to sit you down here because we need some scoring. And they made it work. And Boston helped out too because Boston decided to shoot 3-pointers in the fourth quarter out the clear blue sky, which I will never understand where that came from. But hey, that's not my team.
Yeah, I'm gonna address that in a second. I'm gonna get there in a second. Dave, let me throw it out to you and ask you this bit. Obviously, we discussed the Draymond situation and everything, but Andrew Wiggins has been the star of this equivalent star. He's been shining and everything else. Does Andrew Wiggins continue to shine bright? Is he, or do you expect somebody else to step up? Because it's a new series. What do you expect?
Listen, man, at this particular point, you're talking about somebody who, is a dope small forward. Let's not act like he's not. But it just amazes me. Like, nobody gets an opportunity to really get in there with them, find their legs, and feel what's going on. Moving forward, I feel like after the series, Frankie, you talking about after the series? You mean after the
series right
during
now.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think he's going to step up as much as he needs to in order for the referees to do exactly what the NBA is paying them to do. Like, it's that simple. He's going to perform exactly well. He's not going to get called on anything, and that's what it is. They're going to keep this thing nice and interesting.
Okay.
But Golden State in 7.
Okay. So now on the flip side of things, let's look at the Celtics. The Celtics, Ime Udoka and everything else is obviously the coach and everything else. The Celtics end up shooting. Let's see, they go 0 for 12 in the last 4 minutes. They're up by 4 before a little bit more than 4 minutes to change. They go 0 for 12 and everything else. Do you blame the last game that they lost? Do you blame that on Ime Udoka, the coach, or do you blame that on players going for theirs? What do you blame that? What would you blame that on? The game 4. What would you blame it on? That loss.
I'll blame it. I always come down to coaching. I think that you to execute anything, what are you going to execute if you don't know what you're going to execute? I think the plan is, a derivative of what the coach does. That's what he brings to the game. And the better coach is going to come out and prevail. I don't care. We can look at we always doing the stats and the players and this, that, the third. But like Mike said, and even Dave, we just mentioned, like, listen, sit you down. When you need to sit you down, we need some offense right now. You my defender. Hold on, give me a minute. We try to make this run or whatever the case may be. Those changes, those back and forth things come down to coaching. So yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I blame the coach. You have to see it coming. A lot of these ass whippings, Frank, they let them go too long. Let's be real. My mother hit me one time with the belt. I said, okay.
That's all you need. All you need is that one hit.
One time. Okay. You got to stop the bleeding sometime. That's what I'm saying.
Fig, we know Jaylen Brown has been your vote for the MVP so far this season, but what would you say right now when the Celtics have been putting in Jason Tatum, giving him the ball, driving a lot of the offense going on around him, a lot, everything else? Would that be what you would do, obviously, if you was the coach in Udoka, or what would you do different?
I don't know. I can't really put it on Udoka. He sets up plays and stuff like that, and I heard something said, and it makes a lot of sense. Every time a play is called for you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one that has to take the shot. Sometimes when a play is called for you, if you're open, you take the shot, and if you're not, you get somebody else an open look. And I think, to be quite honest, the games where the Celtics lost, I can't blame it on the coach because the players actually played a little tight. And they were like front rimming and missing shots that they normally knock down. And I don't see how you can put that on the coach.
Okay. All right. Mike Sean, Robert Williams has been a difference maker for the Celtics when he's playing. If you go back to all the games that they lost, the 2 games that they lost, when he's off the floor, that's when they're in the negative, obviously negative percentage when he's off the floor. If you're Ime Udoka, do you save him to the end of the fourth quarter? You play him a little more hurt? What do you do? Because he's been the clear difference maker in the series.
You ask the trainers. How can we what how many minutes does this guy have? And then you decide where the crucial situations. You can't just say, I'm just going to play him at the end of the fourth quarter, because sometimes them third quarter runs, you need him in there defensively to protect the rims, to be there when Golden State makes their legendary third quarter runs. Now, with the coaching thing, when you ask that question about coaching or players, this is why I said about the review, just take it out. The reason why the man couldn't call a timeout is because he blew his last timeout on that challenge. That was an offensive foul on Steph Curry. So he didn't have a timeout left. This is what kills me. It was obvious he extended his arm. Al Horford didn't touch him, and they wouldn't overturn it. So now not only do they give Steph his points, but they take away their last timeout in the fourth quarter, which turns out to be crucial because he doesn't have a timeout to sit everybody down and say, why have we had 4 possessions and had 3 3-pointers taken at the end of this game when we've been killing him going to the basket? So they almost took one weapon for him to coach away from him because of the damn review.
I'm glad I didn't have to bring it up. Dave, who's got the advantage tonight, Dave? Like, I should say, do the Celtics have an advantage tonight? Even though, and I ask you this because the Celtics haven't lost since 2022, since this calendar year started. The Celtics have not lost back-to-back games in the entire NBA season since 2022, since January. They haven't lost back-to-back. Do they have an advantage even though they're going to Golden State, or does their luck run out because they go and play Golden State? What do you think?
The Celtics most likely will win tonight if we're going to drag this thing out, because it's got to go back and forth if we're going to go to Game 7. So tonight is their night. It's as simple as that. I will be shocked if tomorrow I sit here and we're not talking about how the Celtics won. They're going to make it interesting. But yeah, no, Celtics going to win.
I gotta be honest with you. As a Celtics fan, I'm still nervous. I'm just still nervous. You know how luck runs out. Luck runs out eventually, bro.
It's not luck if you know what's going on, bro. As a pro wrestler, I'm gonna tell you shit up and down. It's not luck if you know what's going to happen at the end.
If there's one team that can beat the refs' plans, it is Golden State. If there's one team that can get hot from the 3-point land where literally the refs can't affect the game, it is Golden State.
That's right.
That's one team that can do it.
That's right.
All right, so now we're going to stay in the NBA, man. We're going to really ask some rapid-fire questions. Everybody's going to get a different question. We're going to keep it moving like we normally do. And guess who's up first? Anybody want to guess?
Talent?
That's going to be the running joke from now on. Just let y'all know. That's going to be a running joke.
It's just consistency.
Yeah. And then I don't lose my place. I don't lose my place. I ain't got to worry about that. All right, so T, the first question up for you, man, is we're going to look at the Los Angeles Lakers because Anthony Davis said he came on over the weekend, said he hasn't shot a ball since April 5th. Everybody on Twitter all weekend long, everybody had a big, they made a big stink about this and everything else. This is a big stink to you that being that today is June 13th, Anthony Davis came out and said he hasn't shot a basketball since April 5th. What you think about that?
Well, first of all, I don't believe it. But I get it. But I mean, hey, if the guy's off duty and you're not having to be in shape or report to camp right now and preseason and all that stuff that goes into that, I say, hey, I tell you, each his own. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing? We own these guys now? and you're off guard. Like every time I see him in a party anywhere, he better have a basketball in his hand. What's wrong with people? He's on a vacation, a little vacation. When it's time to come off, he comes off. I think that's crazy.
I think it's insane too. Fig, your question is going to be: Bradley Beal will officially become a free agent July 1st, a completely scot-free free agent. Bradley Beal will be that and everything else. He wants to go to a team that's winning, and he's not looking for a max contract. He wants to go to a team that can win. Where do you think he would go? Because he's a free agent with the NBA team that has the ability to pay him something. Where do you think he could go and should go if he wants to win next season?
See, you threw me when you said a team that has the money to pay him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the key point. Yeah,
that's the key. Now we got to think of who got the money. You know,
but he's not looking for a max contract. I'm saying he's not looking for a max contract. So
right. But you got to have some money
from the Wizards. He is.
Yeah, man. Well, here's the thing. Brooklyn is probably going to be looking for another player in a little while because I really expect them not to keep Kyrie Irving. You put a Bradley Beal with a Kevin Durant and my man Oh God, now I'm losing his name. From the 76ers, just got you. Ben Simmons. Man, that's a formidable top three. I would have said the Lakers, but I'm not sure if the Lakers have the money to pay a Bradley Beal.
Interesting. Mike Sean, Kenny Atkinson just got hired as the new head coach of the Charlotte Hornets with the team that they have and everything else. We all know what Michael Jordan, those guys are thinking about in front office and everything else. Is Kenny Atkinson the answer for Charlotte Hornets?
I ain't got a clue. I wanted Fig's question.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Bradley Beal.
I don't know if Kenny Atkinson really is the answer for sure. It all depends on LaMelo Ball's increased part in the offense and the jump that he makes this year. I think he's going to be a star. I think he's going to be a star. I think he's a star now, but I think he's going to be something to be reckoned with in the NBA. With the Bradley Beal thing, when people say I just want to go someplace that I want to win, I first want to see you turn down $230 million that the Wizards offer you. Prove to me. Now, you'll really prove to me if you turn down close to $230 million from the Wizards that you really want to win. But I got to see that to believe it. But Keith Atkinson, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, I said the same thing when I saying that. Dave, Zion Williamson has been getting more and more shine over the weekend. Hell, last 5 days in social media all day and everything else. And he keeps reiterating to now New Orleans Pelicans fans, he wants to stay. I want to stay. I want to be here. I'm getting the thought process. The more he's saying that, the more he wants to go. That's what I'm feeling.
Wait, Business Bully gets Zion Williams and I get Keith Atkinson? What?
Listen, if you want, I can answer it like you would answer it.
Well, you already know exactly what the heck it is. See, first of all, what's happening right now? Hold on. Zion Williamson right now, you know he is lying because good and hell well, you know he does not want to be there. This is he knows it's a sinking ship. I can't even fathom this, Frank.
Yeah, are you happy now?
All right, Karate Kid, I got you. All right.
That's all right. Listen.
Talent. Over the weekend, man, I had an argument with Rodney Perry. Rodney Perry calls me, and Rodney Perry says to me, literally, I was hoping he was going to be on the show today. He was like, man, Memphis Grizzlies, we were talking about the teams in the West and everything else, and I bet him $50. I said, I bet you $50.
Hold up.
Time out. Commercial. Here's the question.
How much? $50.
Here's the question. I bet him off the statement he made. I bet Rodney Perry $50 with the statement he made. He made the statement that he didn't think Memphis Grizzlies was going to make the playoffs the next year. I said, I bet you $50 right now that the Memphis Grizzlies makes the playoffs. So
did the wife have to sign a waiver or something for you to place the
She wasn't in the room. She wasn't in the room. Don't change the question.
He wasn't in the house. Stop lying.
Hey, Frank, let me tell you a gambler's rule. Just so you know this gambler's rule. It's called extended favor, right? So if you talking to Rodney, he say something stupid like that, you're supposed to call me. And let me get some of the things. Selfish son of who does that? Like, if I hear an incredible straw win, I'm calling all you guys. Put the house on it. Frank heard him say something so stupid. You gotta know you saying something stupid because Frank said bet to $50.
Yes.
In human money, that's $1,000 right there. And
these guys we're almost watching them right now in the finals. One series away, we're watching Memphis, and you just turn around and go, yeah, they're not even gonna make the play. What?
Yo, I didn't even bet my normal. I normally bet my Pepsi. I would pass the Pepsi. I would pass it. I would pass.
You betting Coke?
In Rodney's defense, he did have a stroke and had COVID 3 times.
I just died a little bit. I just died right there. I died.
All right, so Big. When Rodney asked me that question, he got me thinking. I was thinking, what West Coast team? I'm gonna ask you this, Big. What West Coast team do you think that made the playoffs that has potential to not make the playoffs this upcoming season? Because that's the only thing I could think that he might be thinking of. He might be thinking that the Memphis is that team that they ain't gonna make the cut because everybody else is gonna be better. What's your team? Who you think that made the playoffs?
Minnesota. And the only reason I say Minnesota because Big Cat he didn't look the same, and then all these other teams are going to be no. I take that back. Denver, because they got problems. I think what's the name is going to leave. I think they could lose 2 of their stars. Mm-hmm. I think they could lose. Is that Denver? Yeah, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. So that might be the team that might not make it. I feel strongly that Donovan Mitchell is going to go, and they could possibly lose Rudy Gobert also. So I would say that would be the team that probably won't make it.
It's funny you said that because, Mike, Rudy Gobert is now rumored to be linked to Brooklyn. So what do you think about Rudy Gobert possibly landing on Brooklyn? And it's a big potential because everybody's saying Brooklyn needs help down low to help bring the centers out to help them shoot. That's what they're looking at. So Rudy Gobert to the Nets. What you think?
All you can say is that would be a positive. I'm sure Kevin Durant would co-sign that and be able to be like, listen, now I can lead. I can play defense, but I can also play defense in a way where I'm just going to lead you to the basket. And now you take your chances dealing with Rudy Gobert. That would be an amazing pickup. Listen, man, Kevin Durant deserves some help. I know he made the poor decision of leaving Golden State, which was a very poor decision. But he deserves to have a team around him. Now, I'm not sure Brooklyn's organization is fit to put the right team around him. I kind of think Kevin Durant's going to be out of Brooklyn next year. Not the year coming up, but the year after that, if they don't make something happen for him.
Wow. That's his big. All right, so who do you think is gonna? What's the biggest impact? What's the biggest thing the biggest NBA news after the NBA season's over? What player is going to make some kind of adjustment, team switch, and everything else that we're going to be shocked to see that, but not so shocked to see? Dave, what do you think?
I don't want to say this because Michael Sean's about to jump for joy. James Harden's leaving the Sixers. We know. We know. Let's just go on and just go on and.
So?
I think so. I really thought it was going to be a situation where he stick it out and this was going to be his team and he was going to try and be a strong number 2 to MB. But no, now the MB's talking about chicken. Whoa. He's looking at the front door. Yeah, no, cancel Christmas, bro. I don't know. Like I'm hoping we're going to have a phenomenal season. They do something great. But if you can't keep the number 1 guy, listen. When David Ruffin got kicked out to Temptations, what happened? Eddie Kendricks left right after. Like. You can't keep number 2 if you're not going to go to the ship.
Yeah. And Rudy Gobert plays for the Utah Jazz out there. Thanks for the play. I didn't even catch that. Thank you for whoever said that. I can't see the person's name.
Daniel.
Thanks to Daniel.
Maybe more than me.
Thanks to Daniel for catching that, man. I appreciate that. All right, so we get ready to switch to the NFL, man. But before we jump into the NFL, some rapid fire hit. Does anybody think the Golden State Warriors are going to win the game tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, so Fig, you
no,
forgot
I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win.
I got Golden State winning the next 2 game, 6-game series.
Okay.
I think tonight because the role players I think will play better at home.
Okay, Dave, you got Golden State and the Celtics tonight.
I got the Celtics.
Okay, Mike, who you got?
I'll take the Celtics. I think the Celtics.
So it's 2 and 2. I think it's pretty fair even.
Well, no, you got the Celtics too, Frank. So that's 3 and 2.
No. I didn't ask me. I said you 2 against you 2. I'm not asking me. I'm not trying to divide. I'm not trying to divide because we all know I'm wearing a Celtics hat. Like you know what I mean?
That's what that is.
Yeah, it's the Celtic logo. That's a Celtic hat.
And this damn Daniel, this damn traitor, is picking Boston tonight, man. You know my kids always do that to me. Every time I pick a team, they pick somebody else. What's the matter with these kids?
All right, so let's get ready to jump into the NFL rapid fire. So, T, I think, guess who's up first? Guess who's up first? T, you up first. All right, Lamar Jackson shows up.
You're the only host with OCD, yo.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Lamar Jackson shows up tonight. He shows up, man. Everybody's surprised and everything else. People are really upset and around him. NFL players are really upset because he showed up. He has a contract, but if he gets hurt, he's in the last year of his contract. If he gets hurt, he kind of screws himself. Do you think he should show up and should be playing, or should he hold out until he gets his new contract? Where are you at with Lamar Jackson showing up at Baltimore camp?
Well, I think first of all, it's a good look to me. I don't know why people are upset. I mean, if this guy, which it looks like he's going to sign and be there, this is still going to be your leader. like you should feel a certain way. Like, okay, he about this win, he about this game and stuff like that, not just his checkbook. Because the guys that play just for their checkbook, they're never going to lay it all on the line for him. So I think they need to respect the fact that he showed it.
Okay. All right. Fig, you got up next. Your other question is Trevor Lawrence at Jacksonville Jaguars and everything else. Trevor Lawrence is supposed to have a breakout year. People are looking at him because he's got a new contract. I mean, he's got a new coach and everything else. Do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to have the breakout year that people are predicting him to have? Or do you think because it's Jacksonville, we're not going to see too much of a thing out there? What's your thoughts?
See, the reason that the team doesn't do well is because ain't no Jaguars in Jacksonville. Like, just like ain't no Jazz in Utah. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. You know, it's almost like Matt Stafford. You put a good to great quarterback on a mediocre to horrible team. They only can do so much. You're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't. I mean, what are they going to put around them? That really will determine, because at the end of the day, you need a great quarterback first, and then you need some playmakers on both sides of the ball to be able to win. And I don't see it.
Okay. Mike Sean, there is literally a QB battle going on up in Seattle between Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Who do you think wins that? Yeah, it's laughable. Who do you think that wins that? That's literally what Seattle's looking at, or they could be also waiting for Jimmy G to be cut, which is what I think they're waiting for. What's your thoughts?
That's the quarterback competition.
Yeah, Geno Smith. Can you believe that?
That's like the Bow Wow and Romeo versus. Like that's.
I'm gonna need you to get out right now.
MIC.
Dog. That's not a competition, dog. Like, I mean, you're looking for a quarterback. I would stick with your quarterback. I wouldn't go get Jimmy G. This draft is supposed to be what the experts say, not me, what the experts say, one of the greatest college quarterback drafts in the last 10 or 15 years. You might as well just stick it out. You're not going to fire Pete Carroll. Pick one of these guys, have the season that you'll probably have with 4 or 5 wins, get a high draft pick, and take a chance on getting your franchise quarterback. And real quick on Trevor Lawrence, this is why guys like John Elway and Eli Manning refuse to go to certain organizations, because you wind up getting stuck like he is right now at a trash organization, and you don't meet your potential for like 5 years when you finally get out the contract and you get to move on. So you know, I just want to put that out there.
All right, the business bully, DK Metcalf. Speaking of Seattle, DK Metcalf is also in the same situation. He's waiting on his his new contract to come in, because he's playing on the rookie contract too. But Pete Carroll is hopeful that Seattle Seahawks and them can reach a deal. Meanwhile, they're worried about Chris Carson. My question to you is, does DK Metcalf get upset and just play out the remaining year of his contract and then want to become a free agent? Or you DK Metcalf and you stay in Seattle hoping that you get a QB who's going to deliver you the ball so you get $30 million a year to get your numbers up? What do you think?
Yeah, no, he's out. He's out. Like he's going to play. Like, did anybody see the last half of Jerry Maguire? What did Marcy say to Rod Tidwell? What you're going to do is you're going to reject that crappy offer. You're going to play out, and then you're going to become a free agent and go where the money is. Come on, man. Like, you already know. Once Sierra made the decision for the team, it was a wrap. So
yeah, I definitely can't deny that. T, I'm gonna throw this one to you. Let's see how much time we have. Okay, we got a lot of time. I'm gonna throw this one to you, T. There was obviously there is where am I at? There's a group of the Denver Broncos ownership group that's been discussing advisory roles for certain players and everything else with ownership stake at Peyton Manning. What no one is talking about, and I'm gonna throw this question to you. Actually, I'm gonna ask all of you this question. No one is talking about is we have a minority female owner who is going to be part of the ownership bet, and it happens to be George Lucas's wife. Yep. She will be one of the ownership group of this. How huge is this for a black woman to be part of the ownership group, to be of the Denver Broncos? What do you think, and what does that mean to you?
First of all, I'm mad racist in my mind. I'm mad racist. When you said what nobody talking about is a new minority owner. In my mind, I'm like, but what color is she though?
Yeah.
Is she Hindu minority?
No, she's black. She's black, African American.
No, I know, because you kept talking, it would get clear. But at first, when you just said minority, my little racist ass, well, what kind though? Like, I'm not all for all colors. All right.
Not all for all colors.
In here, it just was like this. I was like, dude, you racist. No, I think it's dope. I think you're right. We're not talking about that. But I think that we're in a time now, man, we're getting numb again. And what I mean by that is the fan, so goes the fan, goes the public. So the public is just like the fan. We're mirroring each other right now, meaning like you're not seeing as many marches and protests no more because people are numb to the issues. So it's playing out in the court. I think we're like that with our sports right now, that to the point where first black this, second black that, black woman, black. Now we're so numb that this is just going passe and nobody's talking about this big deal. This is a big deal, but we're numb. So kudos to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, kudos to that. Fig, a black woman is now a minority owner of the Denver Broncos. And she happens to be George Lucas's wife. We all know George Lucas, Star Wars fame, franchise, and everything else. It flew completely under the radar, bro. You know, obviously, if my wife hadn't showed it to me, I don't even think I would have caught it. You know what I mean? But what's your take?
Strangely enough, my wife worked for that company, and she was second in charge. I believe her name is Melanie Hobson. Yeah, she's amazing. She has a brilliant mind. She's amazing in finance. They had a finance company. She's a brilliant mind, and I think black women are you starting to see more of them in prominent places throughout, you know, society and American society. You got Kamala Harris, Vice President, Melanie Hobson. I mean, and just several others. You know, I can't name them all off the top of my head, but I think it's amazing. And if they hire Peyton Manning, I believe he's a brilliant football mind. I think that'd be an amazing addition also.
Mike Sean, Melody Hobson, it literally is the president of Ariel Investments. She's also a billionaire in her own right and has been since 2000. She is opening the door for minority women to own franchises. Do you think the NFL even saw this coming? They knew she was part of the group, or do you think they overlooked it?
Why do I feel like they didn't know? But wouldn't that be impossible?
That's what I thought, but I think they overlooked it.
When I heard this a few days ago, because they were talking about George Lucas and how much bread these two got together, which is absolutely obnoxious, how much money they got together. She's one of the members of the Walmart situation. I swear this guy snuck in. I have no evidence. I don't know, but God bless her. She's in a position. Some people will downgrade and say she's just a member. Look, there's a beginning. There's a first step. And God bless her. Salute. Do what you can do. You're an amazing businesswoman. And I'm sure she's not going to be put there just for decoration. She's not going to allow herself to be a curtain. She's going to be there with influence because she's had major influence if you research her with Walmart. So she's going to have some say.
Yeah, and financial investments and everything else. She's a billionaire in her own right. Her stock options are ridiculous. Dave, Can you talk more about this, bro? Like, what's your thought process on this woman? She's a billionaire in her own right. She's made billions. She made billions on her own without George Lucas at all. What's your thought process on how she would make a change with the Denver Broncos with her financial mind?
She was brilliant before George Lucas. Let's not get that twisted. But let me break something down to you guys from a business perspective. Let's take my comedy hat off. Let's take the entertainer hat off. Let's just talk business. Okay? The NFL has a horrible PR problem. The Walton family, for the better part of 70 years, has made sure that the majority of their part and full-time employees do not have benefits. 80% of them are still on welfare. So the headline would not be Rob Walton yet acquires the biggest amount of money to pay for the Denver Broncos. The headline is Melody Hobson is making all these changes, and this is the door, and this is the first step, and we's on our way to freedom. All the while, they are using this brilliant business person to red herring the fact that this is an absolute nightmare for Walmart without her involvement, without her being the, wait for it, token. That does not take away from her brilliance. It does not take away from her strategy. But from a PR perspective, the Walton family owning this team does not look as palatable as Melody Hobson, brilliant Starbucks, yakety smack. You run it down. I mean, her and her husband combined have more money than the gross domestic product of Chile. So the thing of it is, you got to realize what's happening. Oh, by the way, if we focus on Melanie Hobson, we're not going to talk about Brian Flores. We're not going to talk about Colin Kaepernick. We're not going to talk about the CTE issues, and we're not going to talk about the way the players are treated whenever they voice an opinion that the NFL does not like. I need somebody to realize when you are getting it up the hoo-ha, you should be able to go, ow, ow, because that's what's happening.
I just want to push back on this 1 second.
Dave took my thunder.
She was not, but she was not. She was not the headline story. We learned
no.
this.
What I said was when people talk about it, that's what they focus on.
But investigators,
headline.
People broke this story after the story. They didn't even want it. They weren't even going to bring this out. ESPN didn't even report her being part of this. Mm-hmm. This came out in different sources. So I'm not disagreeing with what Bully's saying totally. But what I'm saying is this wasn't used as a propaganda as the headline. The headline was Walmart was the one who took over this. So that's
here is my Pelican brief, and I'm gonna throw it out to each one of you guys. Here's my Pelican brief. The NFL, let's just say they have to approve every single owner who has to own and everything else. You know what I mean?
We know they do.
Yeah, and we know that they do. So, Talent, my question to you is, with my Pelican brief and everything else, do you think that this was knowingly accepted by the NFL ownership group because of the Brian Flores situation? What's your thought? And I'm gonna ask each and every one of you that. Or if the Brian Flores situation wasn't happening, do you think her group would have been allowed to purchase the Denver Broncos? T, you up first.
That's an interesting Pelican brief, bro. I can see validity in that. I don't necessarily believe that. Because like Mike said, you know, what ended up being the front story and back story of this, but I can see that if it did come to be into fruition, that did happen, because the timing is kind of peculiar. But in my personal belief, I don't believe one thing had to do with the other.
Okay, all right, that's his belief. Fig, in your belief, do you think the NFL would have allowed Melody to be able to purchase be a part of the minority group to purchase the Denver Broncos with that minority group if the Brian Flores case had not happened? What's your take?
Maybe not. There's two sides to this. On the one hand, they're trying to do everything they can to cover themselves on the heels of this lawsuit going forward, and Brian Flores not settling. So now they have to do everything they can to make what he's allocating a lie. What his assertions are, they're trying to do everything after the fact to make what he's actually saying be absolutely false. And then on the other hand, when you look at a person like a Melanie Hobson, although she is a rich woman in her own right, she still has a white husband. So they might look at that also, you know what I mean? Because it's not like she's by herself, not like she's a single black woman or her husband is black. Her husband is Lucas, you know what I mean? So they may be looking at that too, kind of like, well, you know, he's like purchasing it also.
Okay.
Just that kind of by association thing.
Mike Sean, Melody Hobson. Does Melody Hobson end up getting ownership of the Denver Broncos if Brian Flores doesn't file his lawsuit against the NFL?
She's not the owner.
Minority.
One of the members of the group that purchased it.
That's understood.
That's very important when you explain that. That's very important.
Well, then let me clarify.
Okay. Well, no. I don't know. I don't want to waste time. The NFL is not turning down $4.6 billion. Okay. That group offered $4.65 billion, which doubled what Carolina got sold for. The owners are sitting there going like, when it's my time to sell, I'm about to make a load of money. I think that's why it was approved. If she was by herself, probably not. But once again, she was part of a group that bought it. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it has anything to do with Brian Flores. I don't think there's no way to pull this in to affect Brian Flores' case. I think it's a stretch to even think it does.
Okay, all right. That's his thought. Dave, what's your thought? Do you think Melody Hobson is allowed to part of that minority group? Do you think, even though it's $4.6 billion, do you think the good old boys allow that ownership to come in and purchase the Denver Broncos if she's part of it, if the Brian Flores case doesn't happen?
Yeah, they're not turning. I agree with Mike. They're not turning down that money. But here's what you guys miss. I do crisis management. I do spin in PR for people who are in certain situations. Some who you know and grew up watching. And I'll leave that there. The thing that I need you to understand is there's no coincidence in business. Everything is thought out. And let's not underestimate the National Football League, because the second they saw Brian Flores' two Jewish lawyers, guess what they went out and got? A black woman. That's so funny to me. Also, I will have you know that there are some times when you'll leak something to the right person that nobody realized you leak it out, and it doesn't become part of the original press release, simply to make it look like you're not touching it. It's very simple to do. I do it for a living. So when I tell you that, yeah, this does not happen without all of the bad press that the NFL has had over the past 7 to 10 years, but specifically with Flores, Kaepernick, the CTE situation. Like, even when racist white folks are like, yeah, you know, these cats are concussing all over the place. Yeah, no, they will go to those links, and y'all underestimate it because y'all only look at the surface of things and don't realize how dirty this game actually is. When I found out that the NFL commissioner was placed there by a buddy of mine, I was like, oh, this whole game is rigged. And he was just like, yeah, watch these HBCUs. We make money on them too. Everything has its place and its purpose, and they're going to do exactly what they need to do. Because notice, nobody's angry anymore. Nobody's protesting. Nobody's like, oh my gosh. Everybody's dancing in the streets.
And remember, the other members of the Walmart group are also good old boys.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're also good old boys.
Let me throw this out there too. Anybody can answer this question, anything else too. And do you think the NFL is going to wait for a matching offer, or are they going to, like anybody step up to the plate to match that offer, or do you think that that's going to be the highest bid and they're going to take that running?
There's a recession.
Everywhere but the Waffle House. It's a recession.
There's a recession. You grab that money.
Oh, my God. Hey, the people that are selling gas, they still got money, talent.
All the money.
Anybody? That's it?
You know why? Because they're not buying
they were
gas.
sold already.
They live in a little gas station. They're not buying gas.
Ain't nobody coming up with 4.65 for this. Okay.
And the only guy that was gonna go against it said he refused to raise the offer because he said, F it, I'm just gonna buy another team. Like, he bounced out. I forget what the guy's name was because he didn't want to get into a bidding war with them.
Right. Bidding war.
Also, real quick, Frank, I don't know if y'all remember Mikhail Prokhorov, the original owner of the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
Do you remember how they weren't hiring anybody in the community, and it was a big old thing, and they were knocking down walls and everything else, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I own Brooklyn. He owned 1/15 of 1% of the Nets, and everybody calmed down. This has precedent. All you got to do is understand that you cannot divorce the fruit of a thing from the root of a thing. They are that diabolical.
Yeah, I like that.
From the root to the fruit.
Woo!
From the root to the fruit. I like that. All right, y'all, I'm going to go. Before I leave, man, I want to make. Did anybody see this movie called Hustle over the weekend? Anybody watch that?
Yes.
I didn't watch it yet. Is it good?
Phenomenal. Adam Sandler, Queen Latifah.
Yeah, I loved it.
But you're a movie buff, Talent. You're a movie buff, so some of it's going to be predictable to you. Okay. You're going to kind of get it, but I liked it. I did like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a basketball movie that's iconic, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much as regular people.
I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out tonight. Today's a good movie day.
Being a movie buff myself, I absolutely loved it. I got to say this one thing, man. The acting that dude did, boy, he was phenomenal. Like, that kid, Chumancho, he used to play for the Celtics before they traded him in January. This kid blew me away with his acting. I thought, basketball players are not actors, so I thought they were going to suck.
That was Anthony Edwards he was going against, right?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards did a good job talking trash. He did a good
job. What network is it on? Is it on YouTube?
Netflix.
All right.
Y'all got to check that out. T, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro, so we get to wrap this up.
Hey, follow your boy on IG all week long. I'm here doing lives, man. Talent Duck Comedian with a DA. Talent Duck Comedian. Instagram.
There it is, Fig.
Yeah, man. Y'all follow me if you got my address, because that's where I'm gonna be here this whole week. I'm gonna be looking at the sand.
There it is. Mike, talk to me.
Yo, get your tickets for the Black Excellence Festival. Shout to Positive K. Shout out to Horace Brown. Shout out to all the old school cats that are going to be performing out there. Shout out to CL Smooth. Going to be out there. So I'm going to be hosting that this Saturday. So get your tickets. The B Festival. The B, B-E Festival.com.
Is P Rock going to be performing with him too? Is it
They don't
P-Rock?
perform
Nah,
together.
they didn't make up yet.
No, they
No,
didn't.
really?
No,
It's like Hall without Oates.
this right now is the 30-year anniversary of Reminisce. And here's the crazy thing. They not even speaking to each other, man.
Wow, that's
Thanks.
terrible.
Reminisce
Frank.
over you, my God.
Yo, thanks, Frank, for ruining that promo. Jesus.
Hey, is Pete Rock over there?
I'll be out
Oh!
there Friday.
I'm going.
Comedy shows on Friday. I'll be there Friday.
Yeah, I want Mike, hold me a ticket, man. I want to roll down to that. I need something to do on Saturday, man. I think I was going to B Festival. I think I'm going to do that. Dave.
Yeah, man. You can follow me at the Business Bully. I will be at HNIC Con this weekend on the campus of Temple University, taking the main stage to talk about business for content creators. So all my blurs, nerds, and comic book freaks, come on out, see me. It's gonna be a great time.
All right, we'll do that. Positive K, man, that used to be the joint. I used to love them. Well, that's the show. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Game 5 tomorrow, and then we're going to talk about some other NFL developments that's been happening. And there's a couple of things I've been digging up over the weekend that I want to talk to these guys about, throw it up there about, racism in the NFL, racism in all sports is definitely prevalent and everything else. But I want to talk about some stuff that hasn't been talked about and why, especially on ESPN. Because I want to start this thing about getting rid of Stephen A. Smith, man, because he was definitely
Damn.
Yeah.
I ain't want to get fired. And I also want to make a rule. If Rodney Perry makes an ill-advised bet, that text thread should be popping.
Word up.
Text thread should be popping.
Yes.
And I want to make a rule, too, that y'all don't talk him out of the bet. I want that $50.
I want to talk about cheerleader porn in the NBA.
God.
Yo, I think we ought to start something. I want a piece of Rodney Perry's money.
There you go. .com. Yo, y'all, that's the show. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see y'all. Thank you all for watching. Box Seats is on Humor Mill. Download the Humor Mill channel. Make sure you follow Mike, Big, Talent, and the Business Bully, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Peace.